Hello everyone, welcome to another interesting session. Today we'll be looking at another area of law, and that is the tort law. Today we'll be looking at the employer's liability to his employee. For many of us, we might be wondering, if I'm injured on the job, does the law make adequate provision for my protection? The answer is yes, but it must come under one of the heads that the law lays down that liability may arise under. No, there is a common law duty on the part of the employer to ensure that his employee is not injured on the job. This is a personal and non-delegable duty. What this means is that if it is that the employee is injured whilst in the care of someone else, say for instance an independent contractor, the employer cannot now say that I am not liable. It is a non-delegable duty that the employer has to his employee. Now, there are four heads, but let us look closely at two of the heads that the law lays down that liability may arise under. Two of those heads is that one, the employer must ensure that he provides a safe place and premises for work. The second is that he must provide safe plant and equipment for the employee to carry out his work. Now let us look closely at what does it mean to provide a safe place or premises for work. What the law lays down is that the place that the employee is asked to carry out his work must be in a good state. What it means is that there must not be anything in the structural aspect of that building or that place, a window, a door, that might cause that employee to be injured on the job. No, that employer has a duty to take reasonable steps to ensure that the defective premises does not cause injury to his employee. In the case of Latimer versus AEC Limited, the court had to consider whether the employer was liable for the injuries that the employee had sustained. The facts very succinctly are that the employer's premises was flooded, and what the employer sought to do was to cover the area with sawdust. And what happened was the employee subsequently fell and was injured. The court had to look at, can this employer now be liable? The court said no, this employer was not liable on the basis that he took reasonable steps to ensure that the defective premises does not cause injuries to his employee. The reasonable step that the employer had taken was that he covered the area with sawdust, and he did not foresee that the area that was not covered would have caused the employee the injuries that he had sustained. No liability arose on the part of the employer. Now, say for instance your job takes you to another location. Does the employer or the supervisor or whomever at that other location, can that person be made liable? The law says yes. In the case of Cook and Square D Limited, the court said there are a number of considerations that the court will take into account when they evaluate whether liability can arise in these cases. One, they will take into account the location of the premises where you are asked to work. They will also take into consideration the duties that you are called upon to do there. They will also take into consideration the nature of the work, your level of expertise, and the degree of control that that other person has over you. If the court is satisfied that all those elements are met, then the other person can now be liable for any injury that you would have sustained while you are there. Let us move on to the other area that you will realize that liability can also be brought under. There is also a duty on the part of the employer to ensure that he provides safe plant and equipment. Now, the Employment Liability Defective Act basically lays down all the things that may fall into the category of plant and equipment. Plant and equipment means anything that you are called upon as an employee to use while you carry out your duty. So it can also be very expansive. So what you will realize is that the list is not exhaustive. In the case of Knowles and County Limited, the court had to consider whether the employer was liable. The employee had basically become injured as a result of a manufacture defect in a flagstone. And the employer's argument was that this defect was not obvious. I was not aware of it. No liability can arise on my part for the injury that the employee would have sustained to his finger. The court says no. The act basically provides that even if the defect is not obvious to you as an employer, you are basically brought under a duty to ensure that your employee is not injured. So there you have it. You have learned two of the heads under employer's liability that you may take liability or you may take an action against your employer. So do not forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.